Hello. Good evening. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. It's a beautiful Sunday, guys, isn't it? I mean, I don't know why I'm smiling. You know the song. No, it's mate. It's brilliant. Welcome back to Celtic. This isn't broken. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. It's a warm welcome to every single one of you, and you can see two bald guys on screen, my balded brothers, of course, up top, Paddy Boy, the right-hand man, the OG, my sidekick, of course, Paul D down below. And there's a bit of smiling because we've done it again, haven't we? We've piled on the pressure and they just couldn't do it. They crumbled. We got an early Christmas gift. And after 3 games, boys, we find ourselves 6 points ahead of our supposed nearest rivals. The more things at this moment in time change, the more they stay the same. So, how are we all doing? How you doing, Paddy Boy?
Listen, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Freezing over in Ibrox, apparently -6, which is always a good thing. It must be extremely cold in our shadow. That's all I'll say about that. I watched a wee bit of the day. I thought St Mirren done well, but I also thought they looked absolutely horrendous. And for one of our young players to come out at the end and say he's looking forward to the game against Celtic, I thought was just absolutely farcical. Every single Celtic fan and their granny will be looking forward to this because I think it's about time we put a wee marker down.
Well, absolutely. There's plenty to talk about, Paul. Of course, we'll talk a wee bit about that. We will talk about the result. We just wanted to kick it off. It would be remiss of us not to, wouldn't it? We've got to enjoy these wee laughs when we can get them. But yesterday, it was all about just taking care of business. It was a makeshift team. We'll talk about that. There were some good performances there. And now, we've done our bit. They've failed to do their bit. We go into that game on Tuesday with a spring in our step. We've got some signing news at least, and hopefully we can secure the deal there on Tuesday, secure the cash that goes with that, and then I'll also put an extra wee bit of pressure on them as well. It could be a brilliant week, Paul. Can you hear me, mate?
Aye. Thanks for getting us back on again, guys. I've been kind of busy with a few other commitments, but chuffed to be back on. Oh, what we doing?
Can hear you.
Hear us?
Yes.
There has been some technical
problems. Glad to be back on. It's been a kind of busy time.
No, good.
Might be my signal, mate.
I think it might be. I'll drop you out now. Listen, in case you've not noticed, there's been a wee bit with StreamYard. There's been a bit of problems with the actual hardware, the platform here. We obviously experienced a wee bit of trouble the other night there, which wasn't ideal. And those who watch Axom, they'll have saw they had 3 situations in a row immediately the day after. So we have been aware. I've reached out to their technical support and we're awaiting confirmation of that. So it may well be an issue with that. We'll look to get Paul back in. But anyway, let's get down to business. Before we do, I just want to say a warm welcome and a big thank you, seriously, a big thank you to every single one of our subscribers. Over the past 48, we've had a great uptake. We've had just over 90 new subscribers after we did that video the other day with Kev Graham when we deep dived the board, and the response to that has been phenomenal. Everybody's been so positive and the uptake of subscribers is amazing. So thank you very much. We wanted to hit that 2K and we've absolutely burst through it. So thanks for doing that. If you want to subscribe, do it. Why not? Why wouldn't you? It costs you nothing. Hit the subscribe button. If you like it, give it the big thumbs up. Share it. Tell your pals. Get more people in here. And if you want, you can help out with a wee donation. The member section, all our content's free. Just puts it all together. So hopefully you do that. But yes, Paddy, the game yesterday, it was surprising. I'm not going to lie. I sat here and I done my wee pre-match thing, and I was half right because I said that Rangers would shit the bed today. I did say that. So at least I get that bit right. But I suppose that's kind of cheating when all this garbage is there. I thought that the game, personally, when I looked at the lineup, was pumped for a turgid nothing each draw. But wow, was I surprised because there was a lot more energy in that performance, mate, than there had been in that game against Kairat Almaty. And that was guys on the periphery that were coming in.
Yeah, that's it. It was a lot of changes, and I think that was expected. Looking at the squad when it first kind of came in, I was a bit shocked, shall I say, of how we kind of lined up defensively. I thought we would maybe struggle a little bit there, but they held their own. Like you said, Steve, there was a lot of possession football, a lot of playing about with it. I think during the first half, we tried to walk the ball into the back of the net a wee bit too much. We're quite guilty of that sometimes, and I think that's where you miss players like McCowan and people like that, because he obviously likes the wee cheeky shot for outside the box. And I thought we played really well. I thought we didn't really seem under too much pressure. Set plays and things like that. You know what Livy are going to do. Listen, we spoke about it on here so many times. Livy are going to sit back. They're going to defend for their lives, basically. Flat back 10, do you know what I mean? You know the Martindale formation. That's the kind of way he does it. Listen, it kind of worked out for him for the first half. And I even seen his interview and he spoke about that. He says, listen, first half we were brilliant. Second half, I told him to push a wee bit forward. And as soon as they pushed a little bit forward, obviously, that was it. They got shut down. So, listen, fantastic performances all round. There's a few people, obviously, that kind of fluffed their lines a little bit. But, all in all, I'm very, very happy with the players that come in and the performance that we got.
No, definitely. And I'll just check with yourself. How's things on your end there, Paul? We've got you back in. Can you hear things okay there?
All seems good here. Hopefully we can get on it.
Yep, no worries. But we'll dive into it. As we spoke about that wee change there, and I thought that the guys that came in definitely looked as if they took their chance. They gave a right good account of themselves. Just for those in case, I mean, you come on, you watched the game, didn't you? But we always like to bring up, have a wee look at that, we gander the team there. The big thing that jumped out at me there, guys, was when I looked at that defence. Now, we sometimes used to term, square pegs and round holes and all that kind of stuff. But yes, look at it. It's very much shows. It was. I think it was quite brave, Paul, for the manager, because we know that our options are quite limited. So we had to rest guys. We had to have one eye on the prize of Tuesday, but I didn't expect it to go quite like that. The back four, sorry. I said I came on here that I had the absolute fear when I saw that. But I thought that they managed to handle it quite well. They weren't really under much defensive issues, but the big one there was Inamura, because this is a guy that the manager had come out and says that he didn't feel that he was defensively ready. I just want to use him as the jump off point, Paul. Inamura has been getting a lot of praise for what he done yesterday in that game, and people were saying that he proved the manager wrong, he shut him up, and he made a point. Now, we put out some comments on it, I certainly did, and not to be negative on it, I just want to ask, are we getting carried away? Because I thought he handled himself very well, what he had to do, but he actually wasn't tested defensively. Now, that was the bit that the manager said he couldn't do. So how much of a yardstick can you actually use yesterday for Inamura?
Difficult to really use yesterday as a yardstick. We've saw him in flashes, haven't we? We haven't seen him consistent, and we've yet to see him really under the cosh as such. A lot of people are of the mindset that he could do well to maybe go out and get loans, and play elsewhere. But I thought yesterday when I saw him playing, he didn't look too bad at all. What I have noticed about him, and I've said it before, saw it in pre-season, when he's under pressure, he seems to always be able to find a really good outball. He really doesn't get smothered at all. But we've not seen him consistently. But I didn't think he'd have lost this game either. So I'm encouraged with what I saw, and I'm hopeful we'll see a bit more. But there's definitely a player to be developed there, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're talking about it that we need strength. Now, we'll look at that there, and obviously we'll talk on, people are mentioning some of the links to left back for Boca. We'll mention that as well when we have a wee look at who that person is. But yeah, I think for me, the big takeaway was we didn't learn anything new with regards to Inamura. We knew that he was quite good, Paddy, with the ball at his feet, that he was quite capable of finding a pass, that he was able to fill the gaps and be in the right place. And from an attack standpoint, quite good. As I said, I'm not wanting to put on the party. I just think that, again, we need to get a wee bit of perspective, because I don't feel that he proved the manager wrong in any way, shape or form. As I said, the big thing was how much he could do defensively. Now, I saw somebody say something, and I totally agree with it. When we put out a post, someone had said, well, he doesn't think that he's the standard, but he thinks Adam Ida is the standard. So I'll be honest, I got my hands up and laugh at that, yeah. But I think Inamura, for me, it's pretty clear that we know that with the limited options that we have in terms of who we can loan out and stuff, because you're allowed 5 cross borders, there's big decisions to be made with certain guys in the squad. Whether he does go out on loan elsewhere, that remains to be seen. But more than likely, if he was going to be loaned out, it would have to be somewhere in Scotland. I think that's safe to say. See, for you at this moment in time, Paddy, we'll talk about the guy we might get in. Would you still be happy to keep Inamura around? Do you think that there's enough games like that, Livy, that you could give him the first team experience?
I think you could put him in cup games and stuff. From what we've seen from him, he hasn't really put a foot wrong. The manager kind of came out and said, listen, he's played against Cork and who else was it? The pre-season, Queen's Park, was it? The pre-season friendlies.
Yep.
And people were kind of raving about it, going, oh my God, Inamura, he looks brilliant, he looks really good going forward. Yeah, like you're saying, Steve, he's not really been tested at the back. I wouldn't throw him into the game next week, and I certainly wouldn't put him into the Champions League qualifier. But I feel like there is a very talented young laddie there. I feel like he does have a lot going for him. He's got a lot of really good attributes. So going forward, listen, I would keep him at the club. I wouldn't be putting him out on loan straight away. I would keep him there to learn from Kieran Tierney. Mm-hmm. I think Kieran's a massive ambassador for the club and probably the best in his position. Definitely in our league. So I would keep him about to learn for Kieran, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. When we look at Inamura, people are saying, a bunch of saying, Inamura, is he okay? He can't play in the Champions League. Bring in the Uruguayan left back we'll talk about and send him out on loan. So that comes down to the decisions that the manager's really got to make. We know that we need someone in to cover it right back, no doubt about it. I thought Tony Ralston put himself around the park quite well. He dealt with that quite amicably. But again, then when you look at the other options, we're talking about having to feed in young guys like Donovan. And as much as I'm here for these guys and bring through the youth, I think that we also need to tread with caution because, wouldn't it be great if young Donovan could come in and step up to the plate? But look at how long it took for us to get to that stage. With Murray, for example, I thought handled himself really well yesterday. See with the situation, the transfers, in particular at the back, Paul, we've got links to a left back. There needs to be another one there for a right back as well, because 12 weeks without Alistair Johnson, that's just to get back to training and onto the grass. You're looking at anywhere up to 14, maybe plus weeks before you're really integrating him back in, assuming there's no hiccups.
Yeah. Massive loss, Johnson. Massive. The injury is horrible because he'd obviously just started coming back into things and he looked fresh and looked really good, looked really fast and really fit. The issue is that we, obviously the kind of deficiencies that we've discussed often enough are still there. And I would I've always been hopeful, as we haven't we all, that there will be, links to other players. And now all of a sudden we seem to have, moved on to one very quickly today, but the evidence is still there that the squad does need, bolstering. We all know it. It's plain to see.
For the benefit of that, obviously we're kind of tangent away, as we said, but we like to do these wee post sort of shows and just talk and shoot the breeze sort of thing. In case people are not seeing this, we're talking about this chap here who I shall bring up on your screens. It's Marcelo Sarashi, and he's playing at Boca Juniors, Uruguayan left back. Now, this was a name that was touted about before, guys. We had been sort of briefly linked with him, and it kind of fell out a bit. You need to watch that spring or mute your camera there, Paddy. He's bouncing about. But no, he's been linked with him before, and he's come back up where they're saying it's going to be a loan with an option to buy. It's a journalist from out that way, Cesar Luis Marcelo, who's saying that Celtic have, according to him, the wording being opened negotiations. It's touch and base type stuff at this moment in time. Nothing massive, not like a proper sit down, more the sounding out phase. But certainly the optics of this guy look very, very positive. The biggest concern that we've got there is always, people are always saying, Paddy, South American market and the likes. We've had our Bernabé, we've had our Diego Laxalt, so on and so forth. You can understand the concerns around this one. Yeah,
definitely. I don't know if you're in there. Think back to guys like Efrain Juarez as well, and Philippe Scheid, and a few others. Raphael was Scheid. Yeah, we've had our fair share of Snyders, shall we call them, from the South American market, but listen, all it takes is for one good one to come in. It's obviously a position that we need to strengthen. So if it's somebody that we've been looking at, maybe Dr. Doolittle's decided that this is one of the ones that he can work with, and he's wanting to bring him in, then...
Well, what I would say is looking at the profile of the guy, he's ticking a lot of boxes here. 27, so he's at a right prime age. He's got 9 caps internationally. He's playing for Boca Juniors. He's playing for one of the biggest clubs there. So in terms of, we talk about pressure, we talk about can you handle fan expectation. Fan expectation over there for Boca fans is there's expectation and then some, because it's fanatical to say the least. There's been pit stops there in Turkey as well. Again, Galatasaray. Again, you want to talk about fanatics.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. He's played for big pressure clubs. That's the main thing. You can see that here. And his appearances, 245 senior appearances. This is more like what Celtic need to be looking at, is it not? Is this not the level of experience where I would feel a lot more comfortable going for a guy like him who has played in Turkey? He's played at one of the Red Bull teams as well. He's played, obviously for Boca. So he's got a right good bit of experience. He's got some European football experience there. He's got national team experience as well. So this isn't a young guy that's getting uprooted from somewhere he feels a bit closer and more comfortable and feels a bit more like home. The likes of Bernabeu, that is it. So Paul, how does Marcelo Sarashi look for yourself, mate?
Aye, encouraging. It remains to be seen whether he is a mad grab or whether it is a player that we've been, scouting and looking at. That will all come out and probably be clearer in time. But he's a good age, good pedigree, as you say. He looks as if he's played at a decent level. Well, it's there, it's documented that he has, and he's been around the block. So I haven't looked at any YouTube videos. At the end of the day, we're looking at players. The way I'm looking at it now, we're looking at players, and I'm happy with that. Given the situation, it has to be. Obviously, it's been brought into sharp focus, the deficiencies, but we're making moves, and there's a short time window left to play with. But I just hope that we get it right.
Well, there's the thing. Punch is bringing up. You look at the pedigree, you look at the CV. Boca, River Plate, Galatasaray, huge expectations there. Fanatical, crazy stuff. International, for his country. So that's exactly what we want in the age range as well. 27, prime years, and it's loan be an option to buy. I think I'm not against it. I've never been against getting in loans. People will be concerned about that, but for me, I've got an issue with the loan as long as you do have that option, as long as there's an ability there to pull the trigger on it, because let's face it, we're talking about Inamura, but he is very much a backup. And then it's just Liam Scales getting moved over and Kieran Tierney. Yes, a guy like this with that background, he's probably going to come. He's going to want to play a lot of football.
Yeah.
But again, we also know with the option, with the way, particularly look at what Arsenal done, what they pushed Kieran Tierney up and they used him as a winger, there's versatility in there. So we're not having you could potentially have these guys and keep them both happy. That's one that I really like the look of, and hopefully it's something that we move forward for, because I think it is the absolute quality that we need. Some people are saying about, again, as we just briefly say, is about Donovan. We're thinking about other ends, but giving him a chance. I don't think that, for me, that's something that should be left up to chance and hope. What did you think of the young boy Donovan, Paddy? What did you think of him?
I think when he come on, he looked positive. He was decent enough going forward, and seemed to link up quite well with Big Murray at the back and everything else. I just thought he looked quite solid, quite strong. Decent enough delivery, decent enough bit of size about him. Do you know what I mean? He just looks like a decent young player. I don't really know what we're kind of looking for there. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, he's not going to be straight into the squad every single week, but listen, he looked all right. A lot of people saying as well about Dane Murray, about him being given a chance. I thought he done his chances very, very well. I think it was about the 75th minute or something as well, and he was sliding in the box and blocking one of the Livy players going through. They both looked really good. They both covered themselves in glory for me.
Would we have seen these guys? That's what I was thinking. Would we have seen them if things were different? We probably wouldn't have seen them getting a game time, so it can only be beneficial.
I think maybe when you look at Dane Murray, he's done the work, he's put it in, and I think, again, he gave another good account of himself. I think that Dane Murray's rise, if you want to call it that, is the nail in the coffin for Stephen Welsh.
Aye.
I think he is essentially the new Stephen Welsh. I hopefully don't mean that he's the new Stephen Welsh enough. He's not dependable and he's injured all the time. But what I mean is, I think he's now moving into that berth, and it's time for Stephen Welsh to move on. But again, that's another issue where we're looking at it. We now hear that Preston North End, wow, they're moving, they're pivoting, and they're looking at other targets because Celtic just waited out too long to essentially make a decision one way or another around about Stephen Welsh. And that's the kind of thing that's coming back to bite us in the backside. People are saying we're a wee bit slow in the uptake with the signings, obviously with the Balakwisha thing, which we'll go on to, and the likes of the talking here about the potential left back for Boca. It's moving in the right direction, but we have been dithering. We can't kid ourselves on. Marco Tillo, we finally get him out the way, and that's probably only because of the news that's been breaking throughout the course of the day. With regards to Balakwisha, we felt that we were happy to do that. But no, getting back to the performance yesterday, I thought that defensively we weren't troubled at all. That's the harsh reality. And again, coming back to the source, it was all on Inamura. I think he's proven it. But yeah, I think that if he is going to be kept in around the squad, there has to be a chance to test your theory, Brendan. I think yesterday was just a case of by design. But if you really don't think he's up to the standard, sometimes you've got to take a calculated risk. Play him in a game against a team with a wee bit more about them. Now, I'm not saying, and you'll laugh, Rangers because of the day, right? I'm not saying Rangers or Hearts or Hibs, but I'm thinking a team that I've got a wee bit more against it about them, like a Motherwell, for example, who we've seen have been playing some nice attacking football. They've got a couple of big lumps and they can put themselves at the pitch. Give them some game time against a Motherwell. It's a kind of nice middle ground and see if you can do it, or give them games in the cup, again dependent on what your opposition is. But I certainly don't want to hang my hat on them, and I don't want to get into that mindset that some people have got to just go, see, proving it wrong, there you go, played a right good game there the other day. Yeah, he did a lot of really good things, but it wasn't actually tested defensively. But one guy who certainly showed his worth, man, it's on the thumbnail, it's Benjamin Nygren. I know that you've been a big fan of him since he came in, Paddy, and it's kind of funny because I'll go to you with this one, Paul, because you weren't too enamoured with the stylings of Benjamin Nygren in our wee group chat earlier on. Then he came up and he proved you wrong, mate.
Many players in many circumstances and statistics always come back to bite me, but I thought in the first half, my comment was that I was kind of just waiting to see how the game was going and what he was offering. And he's obviously heard that, and then at half-time, he's turned himself around. But the first half, I just thought was a wee bit indifferent. We were growing into the game. We were in full control of the game. But I was kind of watching a lot of Nygren stuff, and I wasn't coming off. And then I was getting myself into a bit of a kind of dispirited state about how the game was going to go. And second half, completely different. What he offers is brilliant. He does remind me sometimes of, kind of O'Reilly's movement. He's reading of the game. But yeah, no, his goals now speak for themselves. And I'm going to shut up and stop doubting him.
So how would you looking at the game? We have got to look ahead to the game on Tuesday. Where does Benjamin Nygren feature for you, Paddy? Because there was a lot of guys who didn't quite pull their weight in the first leg against Kairat Almaty, lost in the shuffle. Benjamin Nygren came on, he played that sort of more attacking based role. He then was moved a wee bit. He was quite versatile throughout the course of the game. 2 goals, 2 very good goals, pops up at the right time, exactly when we need them. Nice finishes. That's a good day at the office for him, isn't it? I mean, for me, I think he's got to go straight in on Tuesday. But I want to see that. I want to see that version of him come Tuesday. We need that.
Yeah, for me, he's the first name in the team sheet come Tuesday. He's proved himself time and time again for me. Going forward, he just looks so confident. He's got a fantastic delivery. I'd like to see Engel start as well, because I thought he had a decent enough game. Obviously, fluffed his chances. He had a decent enough chance and kind of fluffed it. But
what you're saying, I'll bring this up for Brad, lad. This has not prompted the big man to want to talk about it, and that's what he thinks of Bengals. But do tell us, Paddy.
Yeah, listen, Nygren's crossing ability and dead ball, free kicks and stuff. He's phenomenal from him, and he always seems to be following the ball into the box and travelling, waiting for the ball to come back. He's got a good vision for it, and you've seen that with the first goal. Obviously, he's part of the link-up play, and he's put the ball out towards Yang, and then Yang's had the shot, and as soon as the keeper parries it, Nygren's jogging on the spot waiting for it. Fantastic anticipation. So he's got that in his game, and both the finishes, don't take anything from them. They might have been for the kind of penalty spot, but one was right in the very bottom corner, and the other one was right in the top corner. I mean, two keepers in there, and they're not saving them. He's, for me, he's, like I said before, he's the player that we all hoped Arnie Engels would have been. That's where I am. You're muted, Steve.
I says, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people there that I want to talk about, particularly in the midfield, because it was change. And, you know, we get the guys coming in. We've got Engels, we've got Bernardo, we've got, obviously, Nygren in there. Now, Engels, split decision, I thought, again, gets around the park as tidy, does it? I want to go to yourself, Paul, talking about Bernardo, because a lot of texts I was receiving from folk were saying, what does this mean for Bernardo? If ever there was a game that he needed to play or was going to play the full 90, it was probably yesterday.
Yeah.
But he still makes way. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's because he didn't do enough in the manager of the eyes, or the eyes of the manager, or it was just that he was maybe not fit enough? Because I think one thing I'd say about him, it looks like he's leaned out a lot. He looks a lot sort of physically fitter. I didn't think, we always say about Bernardo, he's one of those guys that he's not going to blow your socks off. He does the sort of dirty work quietly and tidily, but you could have taken him off the pitch and I genuinely wouldn't have felt it would have made any real difference. Is that about harsh?
No, that's a fair assessment. He's a technically great player. We've seen it time and time again, but I don't know how he moulds into what the vision of this midfield is going to be. And it does feel like as if he does favour, McGregor, Nygren, and obviously Bernardo doesn't really come into the equation. I don't know how it's going to evolve. I like Bernardo. I've made comment on it before. I really do like him. But when he's on the park, I just, as you say, I feel as if there's just that wee bit missing from his game. Mm-hmm. In the system, whether it's to do with the system or whether it's to do with him. He does look as if he's kind of, I don't know, he wasn't a bulky player, but it does look as if he's leaned down in the pre-season. And,
But, I mean, we take him off about 60 minutes, Paddy. It's quite a short-lived appearance. Obviously, we bring on Cal McGregor. Again, maybe that's just to give these guys that are going to play on Tuesday, starting Tuesday, a bit of game time and get them back into the swing of playing. But for me, as I say, if there was a guy that had to play full 90 minutes, it was him. It really was. It was Bernardo. And just the less we see him, the more I start to have my doubts. Not personal doubts, because you know what I think of him, but my doubts in terms of what the manager sees in him and what role he's likely to play. Because he is far, far down the pecking order. And I felt that yesterday was a chance to sort of claw his way back in. But he's not really done anything really there. He sort of say, right, when I'm looking at substitutions, because he's not going to start on Tuesday, when I'm looking at substitutions to make a difference, let's bring him on. I think the only way that we bring on Bernardo midweek is if we have a comfortable lead, 2 goals, maybe 3 goals. We're trying to protect it and just shut up shop. I think that's the only way that we bring him on.
I thought he was decent in flashes. There was one of the ones where he chipped the ball through for Shin, and it was a kind of decent enough wee pass, and he broke up the play a little bit now and again. He didn't really do too much wrong, but like you said, Steve, he didn't do things that were going to light up the game. He didn't do things that were going to get him noticed, and that's what you want for a player that's been out of the team for a wee while. Obviously, Rio Hatate's been playing incredible. Then you've got Benji Nygren, who's made that spot his own, and then Callum McGregor is obviously
that's a brilliant comparison, McLaughlin.
Yeah, 100% he is. Very similar type player to Mark Rossas as well. Technically good and breaks up the play, and that's exactly what we got Mark Rossas in for.
He doesn't grab a game with the scuff of the neck. That's what we need.
That's what you want, mate. Exactly. He's not doing the stuff that Luke McCowan does. Luke McCowan will come in there and he's a player that could change a game. He's a player that have a dig for outside the box. Engels make an impact with his crosses into the box and things like that. You're not going to look towards Bernardo to be the player like Steve-O says that's going to come off the bench and change the game, because he's not going to do that. Do you know what I mean? He's one of these players that I think he's settled there at the club just now, and he should be fighting for that position. He should be trying to make it his own, but I just feel like the players that we've brought in for those positions are a little bit above where he's at.
Well, some of the questions that these guys have been brought in, there's guys that have they're there for rotation purposes. I think really when we look across that squad, the guys that are vying for a position, to hold on to a position for Tuesday, you've got to say Arne Engels in there, Benjamin Nygren, Yang, undoubtedly, Ralston, he has to be there. So I'm looking at Yang, I'm looking at Nygren, and I'm looking at Engels. These are the sort of guys in my eyes that are really the ones that are looking at sort of saying, right, I'm worthy playing. And from them, I would probably say I can only think it's Nygren that's guaranteed that will start. Although a good shout out to Yang, I thought Yang looked energetic. Mm-hmm. And this is, and again, that's why we need more wingers in, because you can't hang your hat on him. That Football Life saying that he's effing terrible and needs to go. Now, I'm not going to endorse that. I don't agree with that. I think anybody that watches the channel will know our thoughts across the board. Paddy, you're a bit more optimistic on him.
I'm in the Yang gang, 100%.
I'm very much, I don't know yourself, Paul, but I'm very much of there's a place for him.
Aye.
But he shouldn't be a starter or the next option when you bring that guy off. I think he should be like floating about the third choice for that position, just simply because of the consistency. And I think that is the problem. I think just based on what Football's Life saying there, I don't think that you can honestly say that he was effing shite yesterday, because he wasn't. He was hungry, he was doing the right things. But the biggest problem, the biggest issue with Yang is it's no consistent and it's no frequent enough. He'll do that, but then I wouldn't put it past him to play in Kyra and be completely anonymous and do nothing. And then we're back to square one, where comments like that are coming out, whether it's for me or people there or elsewhere, saying, this guy's garbage, he's not the standard, get him out the squad. So that's his problem. His problem's consistency. But yesterday I felt that he done something, and definitely when we look at the game against Kyra Almaty, because of the limited wing options that we have, he's probably done himself no harm.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, if I could jump in quickly, I think the guy there, Officer Feelgood, is it? He's got a cracking point there as well when he says about the Yang being an impact player, because how many times we've seen him start a game and we get so frustrated because he just drifts in and out of the game, doesn't really do much. See, when you bring him on for that 30 minutes, you bring him on the 60th minute or the 66th minute, whenever Brendan's doing his wee changes, that's when you see the difference. That's when Yang comes on and he actually pushes, and you see the drive. And like I've said before, he doesn't even know what he's going to do. So how's the defender going to know what he's going to do? He's one of the players. I mean, he doesn't know where he's going to drive for the byline or cut inside them a dig and things like that. I think he's quite an exciting player. He just lacks not the ability, but he lacks the game time. He lacks the hours on the pitch, and I don't think he's ready to start a game, especially against Kyra. I know what you're saying, Steve. We are very, very short in those positions. Going into it, I would have liked to have seen a midfield three of Hatate, McGregor, and Engels, and then push Benji Nygren onto the wing, because we've seen that before.
See, Yang's the type of guy for me, Paul, that if you have, obviously Balquisha looks imminent, plus one other, you get Jota back, you've got Maeda, hoping he stays about, you've got him still as an option, you've got Nygren where you can move him elsewhere. If you've got that set up with the additional two guys coming in the door, with Jota returning, Yang drops right down there. He drops right down there, and I agree totally with Football's Life saying. He said, I've seen him there for the best part of 2 seasons, and in his personal opinion, he just doesn't see it. And that, we said, we're all for that. We're not all here to disagree, or agree, sorry. So, healthy debate, we love the opinions and bring them in. Absolutely, we're all here for that. But yeah, I've been championing that for ages. I personally don't think at this moment in time he is good enough. I don't think that he is. I don't think he's the answer. He might be an option, but he's not the answer. He's definitely not the solution. And I think that his game time and his position changes. He does become just something of an impact guy for 20 minutes or something. But he's kind of forced into it whilst we're so short. But what did you think, Yang? Did you think that I mean, he was quite unlucky. I thought he was quite brave. I was actually a wee bit worried. I never thought I'd say that about Yang. I thought he'd been Christopher Julian when he hit that post going for that header. It was a phenomenal save by him for that keeper. He got to give him his praise there. But Yang, there's a place for him at this moment in time. That could quickly change before the window shuts.
Exactly. He's always got the head down. He's always committing his man. You don't, as Paddy says very perfectly, it doesn't maybe sometimes look as if he knows or he's got an exact plan of how he's going to execute getting the ball into the box. He's got heart, he's got desire. The inconsistency that he suffers from, he is not alone. There are several people in this squad who suffer from this inconsistency. It's from defenders to midfielders, wingers, strikers. It's all over the squad. So, but what I see from him is willingness. He's not the most consistent. He's not the most productive. But when he's on, he does give us that option. He does run at teams. He does commit his man, and I don't think he's the worst. I would like to see, I'd like to see more of him, but he's not going to be the number one choice, I don't think.
No, definitely not.
That's a great point as well there that you and Martin's brought up. He's got all the tools, but hasn't learned how to use them. You can see that. Do you know what I mean? That's an absolutely fantastic point.
Yeah. Well, another guy who got a chance, people were shouting out for, was Shin Yamada. He comes on and plays through the middle. Where are you at with what you've seen with him? Because, again, I'm just being objective. We always want everybody to succeed. But I don't look at Shin Yamada, and even though he comes on and he puts himself about getting the scores, I don't look at either Shin Yamada. In fact, I don't look at Shin Yamada, I don't look at Ida, and I don't look at Kenny and think, yeah, job's a good one. Because I don't trust any of them at this moment in time. And I know you might say, Steve-O, completely flippant because Shin's not been given enough time. And I agree. I do agree, right? He's one is an unknown quantity. But I'm just thinking about in terms of killer instinct and guys you can determine always uses hang your hat on. At this moment in time, for me, Maeda still looks like the best option through the middle. I thought that Shin Yamada, for me, again, and this might be harsh, he looked like a smaller, fitter, and more hungry Adam Ida. Mm-hmm. He got himself out of the pitch, but he didn't look like, to me, like he was going to score.
Yeah.
Chances.
When we spoke about this at the start of the season, Steve, and obviously I'd said Adam Ida was going to be the number one striker going forward from that point, and you had said, right, so we get 3 games into the season and Adam Ida hasn't scored a goal. What do you do? Who do you put in? And we says, well, you either then give Johnny Kenny a chance or you give this new lad a chance. Shin, let's see what he's got. Apparently he's quicker than Daizen Maeda. This is going to be fun to see. So I think now that he's been given that small chance, I don't know whether he's done enough for me to think, yeah, he's secured his spot. That's him. He's our number one striker now. Obviously, Kenny comes off the bench and scores a lovely wee volley with a right foot. Brilliant finish. I think he was as shocked as the rest is. You could tell by his face that it actually went in. So I don't actually know who our best striker is at this minute in time. Probably Daizen Maeda, and he's getting played on the wing, but we can't play anyone else there because we don't have another winger. So it's just one of those things. I think going into the game against Kairat, I think we need to start with Shin. I think we stick with him.
I think that's bold, Paddy. I mean, sorry to cut you off there. I just think that, it sounds desperate. It shows you how bad a position that we're in. And that's no disrespect to the guy. We're sitting here and you're saying, I think we need to start with Shin. Because I'll be honest with you, put on a blindfold, put names on a door and get somebody to walk up and pick the first one off. That's where I'm at with the strikers, honestly. Seeing unless we can find a method that will allow us to put Maeda through the middle on Tuesday. I'm saying there is a method we can possibly, of course we can do it. Where's there's the desire there for the manager to do it? That's the problem. I wouldn't want to see any of the 3 Shin,
You
Kenny,
just
or either.
stick Yang on the left, Jamesy Forrest on the right, and put Dyson through the middle. Then
that is what I would do. Or again, and he won't do it. He won't do it over against Kairat Almaty. He just won't do it. But I was having this chat with people, and I says, we're talking about lack of options on the wing. Novel idea for you.
change
If
formation.
you don't have any, don't play them.
Yeah.
Go to a back three, Kieran Tierney, Carter Vickers, and maybe somebody like Simpson Pusey. I know that's chucking him in, but I'm just using that as an example.
Big Murray. I'd have put Murray in there. I think he's done his.
I was probably going to think we'd see something like that on that game at the weekend there. Pack out the midfield and maybe go like a
3-5-2.
5-1-1-1, something like that. So you can have somebody playing as a number 10. So if you want to try and shoehorn in a guy like Shin or that, put him in the 10 in behind with Maeda in front of him. Do something like that. If you don't have the wingers and you don't have the options to change it, you either shoehorn in guys that we've said, you put Yang on the left, who I think actually, to be fair, does look a bit better on the left. He seemed to look a bit better anytime he's played there. And then Forrest, and then see once you have to take those guys off, if you don't have the like for like, then change the formation, drop it to a 3-5-1-1, do something like that. The manager simply won't do it. But at this moment in time, I would rather he tried with something like that than he did, just trying to.
If he changes the formation and goes into this game and gets gubbed, then everybody's calling for his head. Everybody's like, what was he doing? Thinking you don't change a game going. Do you know what I mean? You don't change a formation for a big game like that. I think going into it, it's going to be tried and tested. It's going to be our natural formation, the 4-3-3 basically. Obviously, you spoke about the changes, Steve, and Callum McGregor and stuff coming on, and I felt like the changes were just daft. Like, why would you rest the players and then bring them on at that moment in time where you're 2-0 up? That to me was just stupid. If one of them got injured, the state that we're in at the minute would have just been laughable. Do you know what I mean? Because if you didn't laugh, you'd regret. That's kind of how I felt at the time when he was bringing them on. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, if you start a game without these players, surely that's it. You're saying, right, guys, get a wee rest and whatever else. And I understand what you said, and it's getting some minutes into their legs and just kind of keeping them on the periphery of it, basically. But for me, it was
it's a reflection, isn't it? It's a reflection of where this squad is.
I mean, what do you think of that looking at the game against Kairat Almaty? And again, touching on Shin Yamada, Paul, at the weekend, I just thought he ran about and he done well and he was industrious. I think Kenny, we've been criticised. I tried to look for, I've been trying, because we get criticised if we moan, we get criticised if we try to be slightly optimistic. We can't win, rock in a hard place. That's what happens when you put your opinions out there. You can't please everybody. But my point I've always maintained about Johnny Kenny is he might not be the answer to be an out-and-out goal scorer that's going to score it. However, anytime he's come on, he's been industrious, he puts himself about, he connects up play, so he does have other attributes. And if he's going to be about and the manager's going to have him, you need to use him in some way or another and try to work to those strengths and how can they help you achieve your goal to win the game. With Shin Yamada as well, I don't think, and that's how I was saying about trying something drastic, and I know the manager won't do it, but I'm saying, 3-5-1-1, put him in behind and have Maeda through the middle, because I don't think he's got the killer instinct, the deadly sharpness that you require at this moment in time, where you could depend on him, where you get the chances. So, what are his other options? What are his other abilities? These other things that he brings to the party? Well, he puts himself about. He's energetic and he's got speed. So, if all he's going to be doing is being a foil for somebody, then that's better than not. But don't play him as a striker.
That's the thing. Obviously, we're not going to head out. We'll see either, given the first leg and how he's been. So, I think the decision is if it's going to be either Maeda through the middle or Yamada. I don't think there's going to be any other discussion. It wouldn't be surprising if the manager does mix it up again and go with, I don't think he'll toy with the formation that we've been used to seeing too much. But what I did see from Yamada was a couple of times where he was trying to turn, the way Kyogo would have been on the shoulder. There was a wee unfortunate offside, but that looked very akin to the type of run that Kyogo would have made, and he was through. I would have fancied him to do something there. If he just needs a couple of maybe goals like that, where we can get to see him, really turning in defenders. But I don't know how this will go on Tuesday. I really have my reservations about whether he'll see either. I doubt he'll go with Maeda through the middle, I think, just to play it safe and just go with that. I don't know. Difficult one.
What do you think on it, Paddy? Because I want to really just focus attentions. I think we've kind of really just touched on the key points of the game. It was a tidy game at the weekend, but there's no point in sitting and diving into it. There's nothing massive to write home about. We've touched on the main guys that have put in performances I've been talking about. That was mainly folk were praising Inamura. The defence didn't have anything to do, so there's not really much to talk about. And as we say, the midfielders, I felt out them all. None of them were really phenomenal other than Nygren. Nygren's the only one that really jumped out on the page and made you sort of think, yeah, definitely, he's the guy who's going to start. Yang, but I promise there, and everything else. But how are we going to tackle Tuesday? Because I think that the game will be different. I think that I would expect Kairat Almaty to be a lot more open. And that could go in our favour. Now, people are saying one thing that we need to do is we need to get ourselves in about it early. We need to move the ball fast. We need to be doing things, and as Punch is saying, move the ball quicker and turn on them, right? That was something that we managed to do against Livy.
Yeah.
All right, it didn't click entirely in terms of mad potency up front, but we looked as if we moved the ball about a lot freer and a lot quicker. And that was with our makeshift team. So the change that we're inevitably going to be getting, and with the tying the balance, and with them being at home, I would expect them to come out. I don't think they're going to try and do what they've done and absorb pressure and try to hit us in the break or snider it through to penalties or extra time. So this could play into our hands quite well.
Yeah, I do think that they'll come at us. I think they're the home side. They've sat in against us at Celtic Park. They're frustrated. They've played all the tricks in the book, wasting time and everything. They were diving for the 15th minute, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? You just need to take a look at it. So I think it will play into our hands. During the commentary in the last game, it was Peter Grant had said we just need to start moving the ball that wee bit quicker. As soon as we start linking the passes up, it'll all change. And you've seen it as soon as we come out for the second half. There was a link-up play right at the end for, was it Jamesy Forrest? With Yang, Dyson and Jamesy Forrest. It was just that boom, 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 boom. 3 or 4 passes and the ball was at Jamesy Forrest's feet and it cracked the post. Cracking save by the keeper. But that's what we need to do against them. I think if we're going to break them down, it's got to be that way. And I know we don't like it. The old Route 1 football as well, Steve. You need to have a wee bit of that in there against teams like this, because if you're going to catch them out, there's no way you're going to catch them out by playing the ball side to side and keeping the possession when they're trying to come at you. So you need to go out and grab it by the balls, and you need to put the players in there that are willing to do that. And I think that's where guys like Benji Nygren and Rio Hatate and Callum McGregor and obviously Kieran Tierney, guys that know what it's all about, I think that's where that comes into it. We need to get them early, and I think I go within the first 10 minutes and their arse will collapse.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with Football's Life. He's saying a Stanley are a better team than this. I genuinely do believe that as well. But he also then goes on, and Paul, where are you at with this? Because I don't want to flog this dead horse, but I keep seeing this coming up, and I can't disagree more. Everything's against us. Altitude, the fact we don't have certain players that works to their advantage and not ours, so on and so forth, travelling. Celtic are going over there. They've told us they're wanting to a strict regime. They are on a chartered flight, business class, reclining beds, you name it, everything else. They're working off UK time, so their routines are dialed in. Kairat Almaty made that travel over here. It didn't really do them any problems, by the way. Don't know if they were staying in there on time. Didn't do them any problems. The altitude, I know I'm being flippant, it's no higher than the altitude at Tinto Hill. Winder necks in here, by the way. You're not playing at the top of the Alps, right? It's not that bad. The temperature at the time that we play will be no hotter than the hottest days that we've experienced through the summer and that the team has already played in. Yes, I give that maybe might get a wee bit of humidity, and because it is slightly higher, the air might be slightly heavier, but it's not. It is not, I repeat, playing in the Alps. Scrap all this garbage, scrap all this excuses, go out there, take care of the job.
Yeah. There's a lot of experts in various things. It used to be body language experts. Now we've got altitude experts, travel experts, reclining bed experts. At the end of the day, if us three were in the starting 11, you wouldn't be caring about the temperature. You wouldn't be caring about the altitude. You wouldn't be caring about, all these factors that people are coming out with. It's a high stakes game. It's a high stakes affair. Given how the first leg went, there should be a lot of people in the club that should be wanting to make a huge statement and use this game as a real foil and a real you've got to start picking me type affair. And if they get a start, they need to put their marker down. So,
And they've got injuries. They have their injuries as well.
Aye, the young boys out, isn't
they? Sakpayev, the boy that signed for Chelsea, he got yellow carded at the end of the game, so he's out. He was very dangerous.
Aye.
See, every time he got the ball, he looked as if he was going to cause problems. Him and the other boy, Ricardinho.
The goalkeeper, there was an issue there as well. He could be missing that. So they've got their own problems here. In terms of the lineup, I think we've pretty much made our mind on how that's going to be. But I know it's going off on a tangent, but I see a couple of comments that are coming in. I've seen him coming in for a wee bit of flack lately, which is Cal McGregor. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that he's on a bit of a drop of form, that he is just good at pointing to people and pointing at positions on the park, and that he shouldn't be, void of getting criticised. I'm also seeing in there, do we think that he is a Champions League quality player? I've also seen questions about his captain material credentials.
Wow.
Since you've said wow, Paul, what do you think of all of that seems to be out there around Cal McGregor among some people?
Surprising, but not surprising, I suppose. People are ultra sceptical. There's a lot. I've made my own criticisms of the squad, despite the fact that we're, unbeaten and we've not conceded any goals this season. McGregor, for me, is still Celtic's captain. He's still operating at a very high level. Is he the same player that he was maybe 2 years ago? Possibly not. The season's in its infancy. The games are coming thick and fast. I don't think that he'll be able to be used. He shouldn't have come on for half an hour and then be expected to make this game. He should have had a full week off, if you like, a game off. But he's still, for me, good enough to be, where he is, and he's there on very, very high merit. Mm-hmm. I remember Rodgers made a statement before about how he knits the game together. Callum McGregor's Celtic, past and his history and his trophy count doesn't need MD to pour over it. We all know how illustrious he's been as a Celtic captain. I wouldn't say that he's going through a bit of bad form. I think he's got quite a lot that he wants to put right after the cup final last season, and I think he'll be fine this season.
What about yourself, Paddy? Now, there's been mixed reactions. A lot of people are on side, fully behind the captain. Yeah, I'm not criticising. As I say, I think he's a very good player, although I do recognise the concerns of some people, and I feel that he has dropped down a bit. We spoke, Paddy, when he was out, and then we came back and we says you kind of see the quality that was missing when he's out the team and he comes back in. However, as Kaiser's saying here, he slows the play down for 6-yard passes. There is a lot of putting his foot in the ball and pointing and stuff. Sometimes he can be a bit Jekyll and Hyde, and I felt when, for example, that game, I know it's Livy, everything was so much faster when he wasn't in the team. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the problem that we've got, because when we do have these sort of changes and we take out certain guys, you'll get performances like that. The tempo's good, the passing's good, it is quick, it is fast, but then as quickly as you're praising that, they do it again the next time and it looks as if it's never, they couldn't never played together. Where are you at with Cal McGregor? I've said that we should be looking to supplement the midfield, but I also feel that we should be looking to replace him. And not because he's not good enough. I'm talking about a long-term, genuine heir to the throne. I think, we're always talking about looking at adding in players. Can we replace Matt Riley? Can we replace Tom Roderick? Can we replace such and such, right? Can you replace Cal McGregor as the standard I want to be looking at? Where you're looking at a guy who you could turn around and say, well, when Calum's on the wind down, this is going to be the heir apparent. He's going to be the guy that's going to come in. He's going to be the guy who's going to push Callum McGregor, not the other two guys that are around him. Yeah. And I think that when we look at our signing ambitions, we just look at Callum McGregor and call it good.
I think we had this situation before. Obviously, Scott Brown, we were looking at a replacement for Scott Brown, and Callum came in and took over that role. We started that game against Livy with Liam Scales as our captain. Now, that, for me, was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Fair play to the guy, a massive achievement, and I'm sure his family were absolutely loving it. So proud of him. Well done. That's incredible. But I don't feel like he's captain material. I don't feel like he's done enough to wear that. Whereas Callum McGregor, I feel, has. I feel like Callum's one of the players that when I talk about a player coming on and grabbing a game by the scruff of the neck and dragging players into a game, that's who you want on your side. That's who you want in your team. The reason we've had so much domination over the last 15, 20 years is because of players like Callum McGregor, because of players like Scott Brown. They're the ones that are in there. They're the ones that do that huddle. They're the ones that get the players G'd up and that push what it means to play for this club. Do you know what I mean? These players are coming in for Japan and for America and everything else. They don't understand. They're not like me and you. They don't know what it means to pull on that top and walk out in front of 60,000 fans. Yes, they're out there and they're going, oh, this is amazing. This is good. They don't know what it means. We bleed green and white. So does he. He's one of our own. We sing about it. Do you know what I mean? For MD to talk down about Callum McGregor as a Celtic fan, for me, is just stupid. You can't. This guy has done so much for our club. Yes, he's getting older. Yes, at one point we will be looking to replace him. But come on. Without him in that squad, we are not a better side. I don't care who you put in.
I mean, what do you think on that, Paul? So do you think that, are you as sort of uncompromising in your belief of Callum McGregor as Paddy is there? Or do you see what some of the people are commenting on and saying that he does slow things down? And one comment that was in there that I think is very, very true, he's became extremely safe under Brendan Rodgers, I feel. Very safe.
I can see why people would say that, and McGregor is very, very highly rated by the manager, rightly so, because of his pedigree and because of his history with the club and because of what he still gives us. There is an element of the fact that he puts his foot in the ball is to try and stir up some movement, you know. We were talking earlier on about starting this game on Tuesday and fast passing. You can only pass fast if there's movement run about you. So the way I see it with McGregor, if there's any time that he's slowing the ball down or he's kind of standing in the ball or pointing, is because he's trying to orchestrate forward momentum and movement in the team. And sometimes that's not been evident, despite the fact that we have started the season well. But in this European game, I would like to have seen him having no minutes at all going into this, you know, but thankfully he's got through that Livingston game. That'll just keep him ticking over, thankfully. But I think long term we do have to think about, you know, a successor. He is 32. There is going to come a time when he shouldn't be playing.
Asian, isn't he?
I know. I'd love to swap him. But we can't be relying on him to play to the schedule that he has played in previous seasons. By that, I mean League Cup, Scottish Cup, you know, Champions League, all going well, and league games.
He had 11 goals last year, did he not?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? For a defensive midfielder.
And
that's more than your arm angles.
Yep. Exactly. Case in point.
So to wrap things up in terms of, before we look at the game against Kairat, the one thing that's been breaking our ways, been getting excited about us, is that Mikel Ange Balikwisha has decided
he's alive.
He's going to sign for Celtic.
Johnny Five is bleeding.
I obviously put out a wee comment. It was a bit sort of tongue in cheek, and some people got the joke, and other people didn't. I found it funny. And maybe it's just the modern day footballer. Now, listen, we've profiled the guy, we spoke about him. I do see all the attributes in him. I think he's exactly what we need. I also think that Calvin Stengs could be a guy with the pedigree and the standard and everything that we need as well. So let's see how that one works. But let's look at Balikwisha. He is getting himself involved. He's going to sign. Everything looks as if it's agreed. Signed, sealed, delivered. There was those pictures that went out later tonight where he essentially went up to the ultra group at Antwerp and was sort of saying his goodbyes and waving the flag and cuddles and all that kind of stuff. So that's a guy that's leaving, right? He's moving on. But I laughed when I saw the report that Celtic had sent representatives to meet with his entourage. To
the rapper.
To basically to convince him of the project. Now, I said I think it's just indicative of the modern day footballer, and I roll my eyes. But I think if you have an entourage, that's a fucking red flag, right? That's prima donna stuff. That's what that is. If you've got an entourage, you know, what did these pals need to know what a nightlife was like, her son, before they were committing to come over? Did somebody slide them a gold card and say, I'll get you into Corinthian, 3 gratis, free drinks all night, every night? I don't know, right? I'm not joking, it's tongue in cheek. But I just think that, is that come back to, Paddy, what we were talking about with Kev the other day, that players are needing convinced, not necessarily because of the club and the stature and all this and that. Is it these question marks about, they'll be aware maybe of the language that the manager's been using, the uncertainty about the manager, the feelings from the fans toward the board and all that kind of stuff? Is it more a convincing the guy that, yes, we are a big club and we're going to be acting like a big club and here's what we're going to do? Or is it another type of convincing? What exactly does that mean, Paddy?
I have no idea. See, if you need convinced to come and play for Celtic, don't bother coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want players in there that are going to want to play for us, that are going to want to progress. Celtic, yes, we know what we are. We're seen as a predominantly selling club, and we get players in all the time, and they come in, your Van Dijks and whatever else, and they'll come in and they'll progress through for a couple of years, and then they'll get their big move to the Premier League. It's the same for managers as well. Obviously, Brendan, the first time, got his move to the Premier League, but he's told us this year he's staying because it didn't work out well for him the last time. So that for me, Steve, well, that's a red flag, having to go out and convince him. I thought he was the one that was waiting for the Champions League. I thought that's why the deal for him wasn't done. He was the one that was sitting there waiting. I'll sign for Celtic if they're in the Champions League. And obviously now it's looking positive for us, shall we say. I think that's the one that we'll get. That's where we'll get it over the line. But as for the kind of going out there and speaking to the entourage and stuff, I don't really mess about with that stuff.
What about yourself, Paul? It's obviously modern day now. The people are saying there, and I get it, as it says, people are saying about the project. The project. Is Celtic a project? Now, I know that anybody, if you're getting a big move, you are getting asked to come over and uproots and move to another country and settle in there and so on and so forth. There is a lot of moving parts to a move other than just money and saying, we're Celtic, right? I get that. People are saying it'll be his lawyer, it'll be his agent, all that kind of stuff. I do get it. And I know that a player wants to understand what they're coming to. They want to know, right, okay, what is it? Probably, I would imagine the convincing part is what exactly is my next move. That's what I think it is. I think it's sitting down and saying, what's the succession plan for me? Not in terms of who's going to come in after me, in terms of where do I go for here. And I think that's with certain players, whether folk want to hear that or not, that's probably where we'll find ourselves as a club. People will be looking at Celtic as a level of a shop window, maybe a stepping stone. Folk don't like that phrase, but I think that's true. But I just found it strange that I was talking apparently a League One team, one of that was in Europe. So as I said, it could be any, it was unnamed, could be Conference, could be Europa, could be Champions League. It was meant to be going there. That was about 6 weeks ago and all died off. Nothing. I just found it peculiar that for a guy who on the face value has limited options is being awkward about wanting to come to a team who are guaranteed group stage football. Of course you want the Champions League. Of course you want that. I get that. But guaranteed to be a starter at this rate, because he knows that, and guaranteed to win trophies and guaranteed to play European group stage football.
I'm in the red flag camp as well with the development. How accurate that is. If it is accurate, then yes, I share Paddy's feelings that if somebody has an entourage and has to be convinced about our club, then there's obviously a kind of breakdown there or a disconnect. He's obviously not done any homework himself and feels that he needs, Nicholson or whoever else has been going to be holiday to go over and see him. I don't know where I sit with that, but certainly it doesn't inspire confidence. It makes you think about players like Viduka and Di Canio and, is there further problems?
Yeah.
There we go. Is there a reason why other clubs have no, it's not as if we're talking about a 15, 20 million pound player here. I believe we're talking about the £5 million.
Yeah, I guess about 4.5 I've managed to get it for, which is good. Yep.
It's a good fee for us, a good price for us. It's in our kind of operating kind of model. Now, I wonder where this is going. He better be some player. That's my main. I think everybody's takeaway is that after a year of being linked with a player, that he really better be setting the header alight. That should be his priority. No worrying about it.
I'd see now that you see an entourage. I want to see 2 blacked out people carriers and about 25 folk getting it right. See if you're going to use that term. I get what 420's saying. It makes it sound a bit more dramatic, doesn't it? It's media talk, but
could be the media just stirring it up.
Just on the joke, I want to
I want him to arrive in Air Force One. I really do.
I want him to arrive in like a chinchilla coat or something, right? Something right out there, big shade.
And a Gucci belt.
And a Gucci belt. Brendan Rodgers out his nut. But let's get focused and wrap things up here. For Tuesday, we're all optimistic that we will get through early kickoff. If we get through that, Paddy, and come back, because I asked you this a long time ago, but when's the first signing going to be? I think the discontent is we get Barkley shot over the line, and we could have been doing with him, let's be honest, we could have been doing with him in the house for the first leg, let alone the second leg. That's where the problems come in, right? That's where the issue is. But he's going to be coming one way or another, and hopefully it'll be in plenty of time where he's been playing football, so he's at least up to speed, where he could be an option against Rangers, where he could come off the bench or he could start, one way or another. But let's just say that everything goes according to plan. We go over there, we take care of business. Do you expect Celtic to make signings on that Wednesday and or Thursday? Is it going to be that instantaneous? If we have been the belief that we're holding out, do you expect it to happen?
I would love it. I would absolutely love it, as would the rest of us. I'm just reading the comments here, trying not to laugh. Guys are saying coming over in the Gucci Speedos and stuff. That's class. I would absolutely love it. If we'd made the signings, like you said, Steve, Wednesday or Thursday, before kind of going into the game against the Baddies. But I can't really see it. I think we'll kind of get it done over the latter stages, shall we say.
Paddy, where's your 4-0s? Come on, man.
Listen, I think we'll do them. I think we'll scud them. I really think we'll go out there. I'll go for my old classic 4-0. I really think we'll go out and do an absolute job on them. I really do. But I don't think we'll make the signings. I don't think that's... I'm not as confident in the board releasing the money, shall we say. Mm-hmm. But I do think we'll do the job on the park. And I do think we'll still get the players over the line, but not as quickly as what we're hoping for.
Well, I certainly don't think 4-0. I think we've got... I think we've not got enough in the tank. I know we have. I think this will be a good one to get a win in. I'm confident we will. And Paul, the guy we're talking about, Cal McGregor, he said in his words, we know we've got to go over there and win that.
Yes.
And that's not a problem. Not a problem, we said. So it better not be a problem for him, for everybody, for the manager, for the board. It better not be a problem. Do you share the confidence that things will get taken care of?
I do. The first leg was kind of indifferent, and there's various reasons for that, which we've covered. That, as I said earlier on, this game is extremely high stakes, and I think we all know that collectively. After the travel and after everything else, we've got the quality. I think we'll go out there and we will make a statement and get a victory. They will be the usual kind of as same as what they were at Parkhead. I think they'll be doing everything they can, or the tricks in the book to try and slow the game down and put hurdles in front of us. But we have the quality to get a result. We've got the measure of them. I think we were just really unfortunate in the first leg, and I think that will be corrected on Tuesday.
So, guys, before we finish, for everybody here, because it would be wrong not to, right? Now, we've done our bit at the weekend. We put the pressure on. 6 points ahead of our nearest rivals. Great position to be in, isn't it? Great. Things are falling apart over there, it would seem, Paddy.
Yes.
49ers Enterprise. It was a bad weekend for them. Leeds get scudded, and the current funk that Rangers are in continues. And we've sat here and spoke about Rangers and says they're doing things. However,
I forgot how fucking shite yous are, man.
Fucking again, I'm uninstalling.
No, it's my fault. I forgot how shite yous are, man.
Now, it shows that we're in two different places. Yes, they're spending money, and as we said, these guys might not turn out to be superstars. But what's your thoughts on that, and how does that, looking beyond? I know we can only look at one game at a time, but we need to. It's going to be a big week for us. Looking beyond, Paddy, and looking towards that game at Ibrox, that is one that we could completely and utterly derail their season before it's even started, Paddy. What did you make, for example, we've got our manager coming out and pleading, looking for new players and wanting quality. They've got their manager coming out and chucking one of his players under the bus for no wanting to come on.
Yeah.
That's going to have a knock-on effect. I expect him to get thumped during the week.
Mm-hmm.
If we are positive, if we win our game, it puts pressure on them to have to do that. And if they lose that, on top of what we've had at the weekend, with everything else, how are you feeling about that, Paddy, getting in that weekend game?
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, like you said, I seen his interview and he's talking about the boy Agamani. We told him to get ready to go on and he said no. He was feeling injured. He's already been out, he was training. He's trained all week, he trained before we came out. He sat on the bench and he didn't want to come out. He said, so we'll deal with that as a club. I thought that just shows what's going on behind the scenes there. He's what 4 games in, 3 games in, sorry. Mm-hmm. Looks like he's lost the dressing room already, doesn't it? You've got the Baddies fans and stuff coming out and saying that they're calling for James Tavernier to be reintroduced to the team and to be left to kind of do his thing and all that. And how many times has he been thrown under the bus? Serial losers. It's good. Listen, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's always nice when we're not playing as well as we should, and we know we've got another gear to go, and we're looking across the city and seeing the sorry state of affairs that they're in. Given all that this was the season where they were going to take over, that they were back, they were coming again. Do you know what I mean? Listen.
Yep.
I mean, coming more times than Katie Price. We can't see them. You know what I mean? You can't see them. Listen, they can keep coming at us, but listen, the Rangers are nowhere. Paddy Power have already settled the bets. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Bring them on.
What about yourself, Paul? Just to wrap up on that situation that's going over there, I think that we've been told a million times, it says that they're back and they're changing and everything's going to be different. And I must be honest, I've got to keep my powder dry. But as you will know, that I keep a running tally in my phone. I've got a wee folder that's called for future embarrassment, and I might need to start that minty it sooner than I thought. It's only 3 weeks in, and it's pretty jam-packed with contradictions and stuff like that. But it's a positive spot for us to be in, and we often say take care of your own house, and that is true. But a win as well for us on Tuesday, as well as the benefits that brings us with the money and knowing exactly where we are and the knock-on effect of likely getting in the players, the psychological and pressure that it also piles onto a team that need that money, that want to compete with us, and that are in a wee bit of turmoil, that can't be understated as well, can it?
Absolutely. I've been quite surprised by what's happening because the Scottish mainstream media had built this up as being a football revolution, the type of which we would never have seen since the last time when they were building casinos and everything else, and revolutionary stuff was going to occur in the Scottish game. I am optimistic. I always try not to jump ahead and, obviously predictions and stuff. I did it last season. I'll not be doing it this season. But I am quietly optimistic that we should be able to. Now, there's a lot of factors at play, but going into it, I mean, we're all screaming from the heavens as if we've had a terrible start to the season. No, we've not, by any stretch of imagination. But there is other things off the park which have been obviously leading to people's frustrations. We have to just take a step back and look at where we are and where they are.
Yeah.
The manager is a crackpot who, for whatever reason, I seen him today walking off the pitch. Now, I would have done my dinger about this if it was us. he's walking off the park, getting it all that, talking to a St Mirren player and openly laughing and joking with him. After that, there's obviously, he seems to be of the opinion that he is going to be there long term, and that the new people behind the club, the latest people behind the club, are invested in him long term. I hope so. I sincerely hope so. We look after ourselves. We've had this kind of off the field stuff and everything that's going on behind the scenes. We just have to find ourselves in a good position on Tuesday, go into that game next weekend, and it will take care of itself, and build on what we have and get these new players in.
They're undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They're still undefeated in the league.
Yep.
Don't know what the fans are worrying about.
Well, his words were that in order to get success, you need to go through a wee bit of pain. I want Celtic to start on Tuesday by dishing in a wee bit more pain, a wee bit of extra pain, and then a side order of pain on Wednesday for Club Brugge, and then a dessert of pain on Sunday at Ibrox.
Delicious stuff.
That's what I want. But anyway, we take care of ourselves. Listen, guys, thanks for joining us. As we say, we have our laughs. Listen, we have our laughs when we can. We keep our powder dry. It could all blow up in our faces and go the wrong way on Tuesday. Let's hope it doesn't. We've got business to take care of. Let's be optimistic that we will take care of it. But listen, it would be wrong of us not to have a wee chuckle every now and then as and when, because we know, see, that if it was us, they would be doing the exact same. By God, they came out in force when we drew nothing each. I would rather be drawing nothing each and having the tie completely within your hands than having to go and face a team that absolutely scudded you at their home ground. That's a different one there for that. But as you know, tomorrow there'll be plenty to talk about. There'll be plenty to get on. And just make sure, I know it's terrible, just make sure that you do this. Yes, I'm sure we'll all tune in for a wee laugh now and then take care of it. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks to everybody that helped us. We blew through that 2,000 mark. Absolutely love it. And one other side thing that Paddy says to mention, if you have a look, he's running the Murdo McLeod bonus ball for the lottery. I believe it's so we signed top there by Murdo. That's top prize. And the first 5 numbers that get drawn out of the lottery normal will receive one-time signed copy of the man himself's book, which will be sent directly from Murdo himself to your gaff. So if you want involved with that, get your body onto the TikTok, and Paddy's got some details on it. So
I've got 7 numbers left to go, obviously before Wednesday. So get involved, guys. Great cause. £10 a number. 5 chances to win. 6 chances to win.
That's it. So take care of yourselves. We'll look forward. We move on to the next one. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy tomorrow. We go again on Tuesday, and hopefully at the end of that, they will be sitting here talking with bigger smiles on our face. And then the week after that can only get better because the money could be secured, and that means surely the signings will be secured. So that's us until the next time. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, and tell them as always, mate.
Take care of yourself. Hail, hail.
See you later. Bye-bye.